Welcome to the Musear tutorial part 1. In this tutorial, we'll learn how to upload assets, create scenes and multimedia instances, scene transitions, and create scroll view. This is what the editor looks like. In the top left corner, you can see the name of the presentation you're currently working on. Next to it, you can see the Save button, which saves all your changes if clicked. In the bottom left corner, you can see the Asset window, where you're uploading all of your assets. For example, images, videos, 3D models, 360 images or videos, text, etc. On the right side, you can see the Inspector window. Here are the basic properties about the presentation, as currently the presentation name is clicked and so the presentation is selected. When some of the assets is clicked and selected, properties of that asset will be shown in the Inspector window. Here you can also see settings and scripts where you can manipulate with them. In the top left corner, there's Scenes and Instances window, where you create scenes and instances from your assets. One scene refers to one window on your smartphone. One scene can have more instances. So here we have our presentation named d.o.o. First, we'll upload an asset. Our goal is to transfer files from the computer to the online editor. The files we can use are images, text, audio, videos, 3D models, subtitles, etc. Inside of each asset, we can have multiple versions for creating multilingual assets. So, how to upload an asset? We need to go here to our Assets window. Here we have a plus icon which says Add New Asset. Clicking on it, the Add Multimedia Content window pops up. We'll upload one image, so content name will be Image 1. Version name will be EN for English. This field can be left empty, then the default will be English. If you are creating a multilingual version, be consistent with those version names in order to differentiate each version from any other. When those fields are filled, we can click Next. To upload an image, you need to go here to Select File and then choose which image you want to upload. After you choose an image, the content type will show up and some other basic information about that image file. When everything is alright, just click Add. This image is now uploaded. It is automatically selected, so you can see it in the work area. It is also listed under Assets on the left. On the right, you can see its versions. Next, we'll upload text. To do that, we again click plus in the Assets window. We'll name it Text 1. We'll add the version name EN to be consistent with the image we uploaded earlier. Now we can choose to upload a text file or to write text. We'll write Zadar, the city in Croatia. When we click Add, the text will be visible in the work area. We will now add another text, but by uploading a txt file. Select the file you want to upload, then just click Add and the text will be uploaded. Now we'll add some scenes and instances. One scene is one screen on your mobile phone. One scene can have multiple instances inside of it. For example, in one scene you can have some images, texts, interaction with those images and text and similar. In order to create our first scene, we need to go to Scene and Instances window and click the plus icon. Then we choose our scene type, which will be set up as 2D for now. But it can also be 3D, AR, 360 and GPS. We'll name our scene Scene 1. The scene name has to be unique. Click Add. Now we can see our screen inside the work area, and this is how it will look like on the phone. Next, we'll add our first image to our screen. We'll do that by clicking plus icon here on the scene. We have to make sure that this scene is selected when we click plus. We need to choose our multimedia content, which will be image 1. Here we have some default content like, for example, scroll view for scrolling effect, vertical layout, or a collider for 3D models. But currently we do not want to use them, so we'll just click image. We need to name it and click add. The image showed up in the top left corner. In order to manipulate with that image and to position it where we want, we can use settings. So here we have anchor position, width and height, background color, aspect ratio. If we move our mouse over settings, a pop-up will tell us more about these settings. Let's set anchoring positions. Anchoring is how the image will move on the screen. We'll set it to center middle and let's say 800 by 500. We can see our image in that position now. Then we'd like to add some text above it. So let's add text to this scene. Just click plus. For multimedia content, we'll select our text 1 and we'll name it text 1 as well. The text automatically shows up here. Let's change its position the same as we did for the image. A bit up and let's change width and height. We can see that now there are additional settings like font size, font family, alignment, and such. So this is how our scene will look like for now. Let's click here to save the changes we've made to the presentation. Let's see how our presentation looks on a phone. We need to type Zadar as it is our presentation name and click Start. So this is how it looks like. We currently do not have any interactions in the presentation. To make things a bit more interesting, we'll create another scene. So in order to create another scene, we just click plus in the Scenes and Instances window and name it Scene 2, for example. Let's add the same text here, so text 1, and let's name it text 1. Now we can see that instance of the same name already exists, so we'll need to choose a unique name if we want to use the same asset multiple times. Let's name it S2 text 1. Let's add it and let's position it as we wish. Let's say a bit larger and this a bit larger. Okay. So now we have two scenes, and if we click the presentation name, we can see how those two scenes look like. Next, we want to create a connection, an interaction between them. So when we click the image here, we want to transition to another scene. And when we click this text, we want to go back to the first scene. So how to do that? Let's go and first create our click event on our first image. So we'll click an arrow next to the scene to see all instances. And then let's click eye icon next to image 1. Now let's add a new script. So in the bottom right corner, there is a plus icon next to scripts in the inspector window. Click on it to add a script. The script we need is called click. Save it, and now we see this new script. By clicking on it, the editing window pops up. Now we'll make a transition from scene 1 to scene 2. We'll do that in Lua programming language. Type open round brackets, apostrophes, and scene 2, and in the end we need semicolon. So we are transitioning from scene 1 to scene 2. Now we need to click Validate, which ensures we type our script correctly. We can see that this script is transitioning to scene 2. If we look at the overview, we will see that these two scenes are connected, but currently only in one way. In order to create a full circle, we want to click on this text and go back to the scene 1. To do that, we'll go to scene 2, select our text, click plus next to scripts, name this one click as well, and save it. Then we type the same command, but now we want to transition to scene 1. We validate it and save it. We'll also save the whole presentation. On the phone, we'll need to close the app and open it again to see the changes we've made. This second time we can select our presentation from the list or simply type the name again. Now we have this first scene, and then if we click on the image, it will transition to another scene. Now let's create our scroll. In order to create scrollable area, we will need to use default element scroll view. We will add it as an instance, so for example, let's go to scene 2. Click plus icon and then we just select default scroll view. And let's call it scroll. Now we will get a little square in the top left corner, but we want this scroll to be fully stretched on our scene, so we will need to change anchors, both of them, to stretch. So anchor X to stretch, OK, and now we see how it anchors the scroll, and anchor Y to stretch. It is also very important to delete width elements since we don't need width. And also, we will add some spacing. Spacing defines spacing between each element inside scroll view. And padding. Padding defines around the scroll element. So if we change padding, for example, we can see how one side is moving. So let's say 100 pixels from each side, and let's say 50 spacing. Now we need to add elements to our scroll. Let's add this text inside of our scroll. To add it inside, we can drag the element or create a new one inside of our scroll. Let's drag this already created text. We just pick it up and drag it inside. We need to go just a little bit to the right in order to put it inside of the scroll. And now the element positions correctly. Since we want that text to be fully stretched inside of our scroll, let's then just say stretch and remove width and height elements. Okay, now we have our first element inside the scroll. And let's say we want to add another text to the scroll. So let's click plus icon, select our text. Let's say we have a larger text now, which is not really nicely put. But let's change anchoring again to stretch, and remove width and height. Now this scroll is properly created. We click Save. And we can check it out on our phone. Since we downloaded already the presentation, now we can just click Start. Now if we click this image, we have our scroll. And since we have our first text on the top which is clickable, we can also click it. That is it.